Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam, Chandan here.
Chandan Prabhu, Dandat Pranam. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Your mom reads safely India?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's going to be 1 month in 12th of October, yes.
She is doing fine?
Yeah, she reached safely to India.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Tushar
Dandat Pranam.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapad Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusuti Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langaite Girim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwar. Alright, so we are continuing on chapter 13th. The acronym for this chapter is WISE. W stood for wise questions. Last week we saw Arjuna asked 6 questions to Krishna. What is Kshetra? What is or the field? And Krishna said field is the body. And then Arjuna asked what is Kshetragya? Who is the knower of the field? And Krishna said there are 2 knowers of the field, the soul and the super soul. The soul knows only one's own body. The super soul knows all the bodies. And then Arjuna asked, what is Jnanam? And Krishna said, one who knows the distinction between the body, the soul, and the super soul. He has knowledge. He is in Jnanam. Last week we also saw Krishna mentioning more about the body, the 6 changes of the body, what is the body made up of, the 24 elements, the 10 senses, um, the Panch Bhutas, earth, water, fire, air, ether, the object of the senses, form, touch, smell, mind, intelligence, false ego, and Mahatattva. So these are 24 elements of the body. And then we also saw from the purport Srila Prabhupada describing 5 kinds of consciousness. Annamaya consciousness tries to see everything through the medium of eating only. Then pranmaya consciousness, they are very eager to live, and their understanding of themselves is limited to the body, and they try to do everything for the pleasure of the body, whether it is going out, some pleasure for the senses, um, or they are looking for happiness for the mind and intellect and ego, like big position, fame, wealth. So this is called pranamaya. They are only concerned about the gross body and the subtle body. Um, and then the next state of consciousness as one grows is Gyanmaya, where one starts gaining knowledge and one starts to question everything in life. Is there something more to life that I haven't explored? And they look into the possibility of spirituality, and they try to find answers, whether it is karma or astrology. um, um, they try to understand all these things. Things starts making sense to them. They start thinking. But they are still in a materialistic consciousness, uh, because they don't know anything yet. It's just the thought process has begun. Then the next stage is Vigyan Maya. At the stage of Gyan Maya, they meet devotees. They try to understand. They try to find answers for life. At the stage of Vigyan Maya, um, they start getting deeper and deeper realizations. Now it's not just theory for them. Now they have some experiences also. Vigyanamaya. And the stage after Vigyanamaya is Anandamaya, where one realizes himself and one realizes the Supreme Lord, and one's relationship with the Supreme Lord. That is a state of bliss. Okay. Uh, okay. 1 second. I have to change the location. All right. Sorry about that. So these are the 5 stages of consciousness that we discussed last time. Um, Now Krishna is going to explain more about knowledge. That's why this section is called the item of knowledge. We did read through the 20 items of knowledge last week, and we just discussed little about humility. So in the next 5 verses, Krishna describes different aspects of saintly character by which the soul could disentangle himself from the material body and attain liberation. So, in these 5 verses, Krishna is going to describe about the saintly characters. Um, 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 we need to exhibit these saintly qualities if we want to disentangle ourselves from material activities in our consciousness. Currently, soul is only knower of the body. How can soul realize its true identity? Um, as we start developing these saintly qualities, we also start realizing ourselves, the true self realization. So, these qualities are part of it. As far as actual advancement in spiritual science, one should have a test how far to see how far he is progressing. He can judge by these items. In other words, we are going to describe now 20 saintly qualities. beginning with humility. Those, to the extent we are exhibiting these qualities already, to that extent we have made progress in our spiritual life. And if we are not exhibiting these qualities, if we try to work on these qualities, that will help us advance soon. Okay, the beginning of quality is humility, and Prabhupada describes humility means no expectation for respect. And we discussed about humility little bit last week. Then pridelessness. Pridelessness, Adam Bhiktava, Dambha is pride. Adambha is prideless. Um, Not being anxious for being famous. Usually, a living entity is very eager to, he's always trying to impress. He's always trying to showcase himself either through um, um, either through one's knowledge or one's wealth or one's beauty. Um, so one is trying to showcase oneself, or one may be trying to showcase oneself according to one's spiritual advancement. See how many rounds I chant, how much I read, how sincere I am. That's still a, a symptom of trying to showcasing ourselves. Um, um, all these we try to showcase ourselves because we have pride in our heart. We think we are somebody great. Um, Kunti Maharani prays to Lord Krishna, um, Janmaishwara Shruti Shribhi Edamana Madapuman. Um, which means I don't want high birth, I don't want high beauty, I don't want high education, I don't want high wealth, because they have a tendency to make one proud. Tvam akinchana gocharam means Kunti Maharani says to Krishna that you are the property of impoverished. Those who are too full of themselves, those who think that they are great, they cannot approach Krishna feelingly because they are just too full of themselves. So, pridelessness means one acts for the pleasure of the Lord and one does not try to impress what one is proud of over others. Um, there is, I did share this story of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was sitting with his confidential associates. One of them was Rupa Goswami, and others were his direct associates like Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur, and others were present. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told everybody that Rupa Goswami is going to be the Siksha Guru, the Acharya for Krishna consciousness for next 10,000 years to come. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looked at everybody. Everybody was very joyous, was very joyful, that to see the good fortune of Rupa Goswami. So none of them exhibited any envy towards Rupa Goswami. Now, if somebody tells a person who is conditioned that this other person is such a great personality, then one naturally will think bad. One goes into depression also when somebody else is glorified and that's not them. Um, and that depression is because of false ego. That depression is because of false ego. Um, 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 yeah, but when Rupa goes now, when we are too attached to material world and the body, then our respect and to showcase ourselves becomes very important to us, because we are identifying ourselves with the body and we are trying to derive some gross or some subtle pleasure through the medium of body. That's because of our own ignorance that we are looking for things in this world. um, um, but when we establish relationship with the Lord, and when we are enjoying at Paramahamsa stage, at the stage of a pure devotee on a spiritual plane, then material accomplishments doesn't matter, because we are enjoying at another higher level. So humility means not to expect, humility and pridelessness means not to expect respect for oneself, and at the same time giving all respect to others. um, we may we may act as very humble, but yet the desire is there that I want to impress and I want to be respected. um, that is a sign of internal pride, um, that I have something um, worth to be respected. Or when one thinks that I am better than others, um, that's one and the same thing. Um, okay, then there is non-violence, ahimsa, not to put others in distress. Unless one elevates people to spiritual consciousness, one is practicing violence. One should try his best to distribute real knowledge. So, non violence is not to put others in distress. It has two connotations: not to put their physical body in distress, which is killing. So, we don't kill anyone. When we kill, we are supporting um, violence. So, we don't want to do that. Um, One person recently he called me and he said, Prabhu, I am getting a job. He was searching for a job, and he said, Prabhu, I am getting a job in a restaurant, but I have to serve animal flesh. Is that okay? And I asked, do you have an alternative? And he said, other alternative is a desk job at a hotel. I said, what about payment? He said, the restaurant is paying more. And then I asked, convenience. He said, restaurant is near to me. And I said, go to the hotel job, because don't support um, violence, um, because we get the karma. So don't support that. It is said that one who kills, one who orders the killing, one who transports the flesh, one who sells, one who buys, one who cooks, and one who eats. These seven people, they all are incriminated in sin. So, one of the quality of a devotee is non-violence. He does not put others in distress. Then another aspect of non-violence is when we don't share Krishna with others, that is also violence. In fact, at one point of time, Srila Prabhupada said 99% of the people will go to hellish planets after this life, because everybody is engaged into vikarma, sinful activities. Knowingly, unknowingly, fifth canto Srimad Bhagavatam explains various kind of vikarma. It includes lying also. It includes so many things. When I read, I was shocked. So nobody in this material world, practically speaking, is living a pure life. Only a devotee who has all 20 saintly qualities can actually live a pure life. So for their action, they will get reaction. um, just by doing something good does not cancel their bad karma. So when we don't give them real knowledge, then we are telling them, see, I don't care about you. I am Krishna conscious devotee. I am going back to Godhead. Uh, you are doing so many wrong things. Um, you will go to lower planets and you will suffer. Well, that's okay with me. That's okay with me. At least I am going back to Godhead. I am safe. If you, for you, I don't care. So one of the quality of a devotee is he's not selfish. When those who are concerned only about their own spiritual life, they are still selfish. Let me grow. Let me advance. Um, so um, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh. Whoever you meet, whoever you see, if they are favorable, tell them about Krishna. Tell them about Krishna. Their life will be saved. Everybody is living in avidya, ignorance, and doing so many sinful activities. Prahlad Maharaj says, my lord, as long as there are um, demoniac people. Who is a demoniac person? Chapter 16th. 16th chapter is divine and demoniac. Krishna explains the qualities of divine person in 5 verses and the qualities of demoniac person in more than 25 verses. And at length, Krishna speaks about what is demoniac mentality, demoniac activities, demoniac philosophy, how do they think, how do they work, uh, everything about demoniac person. So Prahlad Maharaj says, because there are so many such kind of people, unless there is even one such person, I don't want to go back to Godhead till I send everybody to the kingdom of God. So compassion. So that's a sign of non-violence. Then there is um, tolerance. Tolerance. Be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from others. Um, um, that is tolerance. Now, um, recently, one Mataji called me and she said, in her work, some superior to her was giving her trouble. So she asked, do I need to exhibit tolerance even at work? I understand that I have to be tolerant when I'm dealing with devotees and saintly people, but do I need to be tolerant even at work? I said, yes, it's a universal principle. Um, um, so Prabhupada said, be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from others. Um, Usually, when we are disrespected, we may become angry, or when somebody tells us something against us, we become angry. Um, at least we become disturbed, very disturbed in our mind. So that is because lack of tolerance. Small things can trigger us. Small things. um, and we all know what triggers us. We all know. So that is a sign of that I have to work on my tolerance level. At one point of time, Srila Prabhupada said, the greatness of a person can be known by his or her ability to tolerate the provoking situations. There will be provoking situations at home, at work. by spouse, by kids, um, by friends, by parents. Um, so many situations will be provoking that will agitate us. To the extent we can tolerate them and not change our behavior towards them when they go against us. Uh, um, to that extent, we are considered great. As we practice Krishna consciousness, our tolerance will by default increase. Yet at the same time, we should try to practice, learn, try to act on tolerance. Even if in our beginning stage we become agitated and angry internally, if we don't exhibit or act on that, that is a sign of greatness at the beginning stage. In an advanced stage, um, we won't even feel um, um, anger if somebody disrespect us, because um, actually the ego is hurt. Um, but when ego doesn't remain, when we don't have any false ego, there is no question of tolerance. Then the life is so free flow, so carefree. But at this stage, we have to be very careful how we live the life, because we want to grow. In a stage of perfection, you be who you are, and because you are supremely pure, all pure, everything you do is perfect. You just be who you are. But to get there, we have to try to practice these qualities. Then there is simplicity, arjavam. Simplicity means so straightforward that can disclose the truth even to enemy. That is simplicity. Means just tell the truth. No need to hide. No need to think what will others think of me. No. Um, Honesty is the best policy. Somebody taught me in my childhood. Be honest. Be honest. Many times we are very manipulative, and um, 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 people love honesty. And when people see that this person is honest, um, then they develop faith in us. They develop faith in us. So that is simplicity. Um, no need to lie. People respect honesty. Don't think about what will happen, but honestly say, well, this like there is a uh, um, one time there was a, a student. He went to he went to a brahmana for Vedic knowledge, because in the ancient time those who are born kshatriyas, they would learn dhanurvidya, like Kripacharya taught dhanurvidya. Those who were brahmanas, sorry, Dronacharya taught dhanurvidya. Those who are brahmanas, they will go to brahmana to learn Vedic knowledge. So one student approached a brahmana for Vedic knowledge, and the brahmana asked this student, what's your, who are you? Are you Kshatriya? Are you Brahmana? Who are you? And the student said, I don't know who I am. I never asked my mom. Then the Brahmana said, well, go and ask your mom uh, if who is my father? Is he a Brahmana? And then tell me. And then I will decide if I will give you Vedic knowledge or not. So this person went to the mom and he asked her, Mom, who is my father? And she said, I don't know who is your father. Means she had many relationships. Otherwise, how can she say that? She said, I don't know who is your father. So he came back, um, and the Brahmana asked him, so did you ask your mom? And he said, yes. What did she say? She said, I don't know who is my father. And the Brahmana said, all right, I will teach you Vedic knowledge because you are a Brahmana. And he said, because you told such a shameful thing to me, with all honesty and simplicity, with such innocent truth, you are a Brahmana. Because Brahmana means truthful. Um, um, so that's how he concluded, just from his answer, that he is a Brahmana. So that's a quality of a devotee. Devotee is beyond Brahmana. Um, and that's a quality of a devotee. He is so straightforward that he can disclose truth even to enemy. Um, then there is accepting a spiritual master.
Hare
Acharya
Krishna.
Upasana. Upasana means to worship. Acharya is spiritual master. Acharya Upasana means to worship spiritual master. Serving Shri Guru without motivation. Uh,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can you hear me?
Devashish Prabhu.
Yes. Prabhuji, I had a question while tolerance was discussed. You said, Mahaprabhu said, Jake dekha take Krishna Ruptesh. And and you said, who has faith? Did you say who has faith or who is? Um,
Yeah, yeah. So what is your question?
so if we preach to anyone and we don't know whether somebody is faithless or faithful,
Yeah,
um, uh, there is the verse in Sikshashtakam and also in Bhagavad Gita, some shloka says that do not tell this message to the faithless.
yeah, yeah.
So
How do we
how do
know?
we, yeah, how do we understand these two statements?
Yeah. So Prabhu, um, tell something small, like, do you believe in karma? Or ask something very neutral, and ask a level 1 question. See their response. They may say, yeah, ये सब हमें हमें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता इन चीज़ों से. Then stay away. Somebody will show interest. Yeah, I go to this temple, I visit there. Okay, now this person is little faithful. And then ask next level. Because um, if we share the truth to those who are faithless, then they will make fun of Krishna, and that's an offense. Because they will kind of blaspheme in their mind by rejecting Krishna and the path of devotional service. And if we become instrument to increase their envy towards Krishna, it's not good. We will become disturbed in our own consciousness. Um, so say something little, and based on that start the conversation. Is that all right?
Yes, Prabhu. And should we also see uh, preachers like His Grace Gaur Gopal Prabhu in the same lines that they don't really his outreach um, preaching is mostly what you said, the first level where
Yes, yes. Yeah, we should try that. See their response, then go to next level. Those based on their level, you go to that level.
right, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, okay. So next is accepting a spiritual master, Acharya Upasana, serving Guru without motivation. Without his instruction, one cannot progress. By pleasing him, one can advance easily. So, Guru gives us instruction on what is the right thing to do, what is not the right thing to do. Um, by following those instructions, one is worshipping the spiritual master just by following instruction. Um, um, uh, we can worship. Somebody may do arati to spiritual master picture, but then he does not follow the instruction. What is the use of that? Real service to spiritual master is by following the instructions of spiritual master. And also we should not discriminate between different instructions of spiritual master. um, this instruction I like to follow, so I will follow this instruction I don't like to follow, so I will not follow this. We should not discriminate. um, all instructions of spiritual master are for our benefit, and if they are all followed, then there is a wholesome progress for the disciple. um, so without his instruction one cannot progress, and by pleasing him, um, one can advance easily. So Srila Prabhupada said this is a secret of Krishna consciousness. If we want to advance, then we have to uh, please the spiritual master. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. When Guru is pleased, Krishna is pleased. Mercy of Krishna flows through the medium of Shri Guru. Mercy of Krishna does not come directly by worshipping Krishna, um, but when we follow the instruction. Now, Guru does not tell anything about um, any personal service. Guru always tell, that's a bona fide Guru. Guru always tell about how to serve Krishna, and it's very easy to please Guru if we start serving Krishna. That's all. Uh, those who are serving Krishna without taking instructions from Guru, they are directly worshipping Krishna. They find it very difficult to progress in their spiritual life. But those who are doing the same activities, but they are following under guidance of a spiritual master, um, then that pleases spiritual master, because he or she sees that the devotee is becoming Krishna conscious, he is advancing spiritually. That itself pleases the spiritual master. um, One time one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, how can we please you? Because he was Srila Prabhupada's disciple, and he knew that the secret of progress is by worshipping spiritual master. So Prabhupada, how can we please you? And Prabhupada said, become a pure devotee of Krishna. So how much we please our spiritual master is based on simply how how sincere we are in our own Krishna consciousness. Um, um, and when the spiritual master sees that we are so sincerely practicing, he becomes pleased. We don't have to please him by giving him a flower or by giving him gifts. We cannot buy a spiritual master through our um, externals, um, but by following instructions. Um, 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 those who please their spiritual master, Prabhupada writes, for them practicing Krishna consciousness becomes very easy. In a way, when we try to practice Krishna consciousness, and at the same time if we are doing things that are displeasing displeasing to spiritual master, like we are acting out of pride, acting out of envy, and insincere in our spiritual practices, so we do anything, if it is displeasing to our spiritual master, then our spiritual life becomes um, difficult. But those who receive blessings from spiritual master, um, another way we can receive blessings for spiritual master is by doing things that is pleasing to Guru, like um, Srila Prabhupada told his Western disciples, go and distribute books, because people will not come to the temple, because people don't see any value in coming to the temple, and they don't even relate to it. So you go out and you meet them and you give them these books like Bhagavad Gita, Science of Self-Realization, Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers, The Law of Karma, uh, e- um, and The Science of the Soul, Reincarnation, you give them these books. There are so many books Prabhupada wrote. Um, um, and those who are doing that, they Srila Prabhupada was very pleased with them. So that's another way, is not only following instruction um, by which one can advance oneself, but also following the mood of spiritual master. The mood of every spiritual master is Yare Dikha Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh. So when we follow that, somehow the goal is, when we please the spiritual master, then the spiritual life becomes very easy. Our spiritual practices becomes very easy. um, so that is called acharya upasana, accepting a spiritual master. In fact, Srila Prabhupada says, even if one is not following the regulatory principles of meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication, because if you see Westerners, when Srila Prabhupada wrote this purport, he was dealing with Westerners, and every day they have illicit sex. They live together without marriage. They they drink. Eating flesh is their staple food. They don't know what to eat if they're not eating flesh. Um, so this is their life. And Prabhupada says, even if they're not following regulated principles, if they please a spiritual master, they can advance independent of following spiritual master also. In other words, the power of a devotee's mercy can never be underestimated, because they have such relationship with Krishna. When they are pleased, Krishna becomes very pleased with them. There are many stories in the scriptures that those who are dear to devotees of the Lord, they receive the mercy of the Lord, even if they were not doing anything. So it is very important to receive blessings from devotees. Then there is cleanliness, bathing externally and chanting internally. Um, Ideally, if we go to restroom and pass stool, then one should take a shower, ideally. So that way we keep the body clean, because the body becomes polluted. Even when we go for a haircut, we should take shower. So a brahmana keeps his body clean externally, and internal cleanliness is through chanting the holy names, uh, by performing devotional service. One becomes clean internally. Then there is steadiness. Steadiness, sthira, steady, determined to make progress in spiritual life. This is another quality required, another saintly quality required to make spiritual progress: determination. We all are rendering devotional service. We may be chanting 1 round, we may be chanting 2 rounds, we may be chanting 4 rounds, or we may be chanting 16 rounds. Be determined in what you are doing. Determined means do it every day. Sthira. Uh, um, Sometime we may feel like, sometime we may not feel like, but have determination. Make a sankalpa. Sankalpa means this is how I am going to serve Krishna. Because initially our service to Krishna begins by pushing ourselves. Uh, that's a step we are taking to show Krishna that, my Lord, I am, I want you. I am sincere. Just saying I want Krishna is not sufficient. We have to, our actions should speak that I want Krishna. And by actually bringing devotional service in our life on day to day basis, our by our actions we are telling Krishna, I want you. And you know, we all have heard, we take one steps toward Krishna, Krishna takes many steps toward us. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we discussed this before, um, those who are engaged in serving me, I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. So to the extent we take step toward Krishna, to that extent Krishna helps. Krishna extends his hand to hold us and take us back. So we should be determined to take some steps and to follow those steps in our life. We should be determined um, not to break the regulatory principles. So determination is very much needed in the path of bhakti. Then there is self-control. Uh, Reject anything unfavorable to spiritual advancement. Control the senses. So the senses are like fire. The senses have so many demands. Um, if the demand of the senses is favorable to Krishna, no problem. Like eating gulab jamun, offer gulab jamun and eat. So very nice, no problem. But if the senses demand are detrimental, or they are not favorable, we know what is right, what is wrong, and the senses will demand anyhow. Um, but if we know that the demand of the senses is unfavorable to my spiritual progress, then one should control the senses. One should control the senses. Narad Muni says about his previous life, he says, the reason I got the mercy of Bhakti Vedantas, he says many things, but one of the reasons he says is because I was self controlled. Um, he has good self control on himself. Um, Pratikulina Varjanam. Anukulena Krishnanu Pratikulina Varjanam. Anything which is anukul, favorable to Krishna, one should accept. Uh, Pratikulina Varjanam. Anything which is against uh, my progress in my spiritual life, Varjanam. One should reject that. So one should have that determination. Uh, and as you grow in your Krishna consciousness, your determination will also grow. But if we are not determined, then um, we cannot progress in our spiritual life. Determination is very important quality. In fact, Krishna says in second chapter Bhagavad Gita, those who um, are engaged in sense gratification, determination for Krishna consciousness doesn't take place. So if we are too absorbed in fulfilling the demands of the senses, we cannot have a spiritual determination. Um, okay, and then renunciation of sense objects, Indriya Arthinu Vairagyam, not to cater to unnecessary demand of the senses that are detrimental to devotional service. So this is similar to self-control, is not to engage one's senses even though they may demand so many things if the things they are demanding is unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Instead, pray to Krishna for strength. Pray to Krishna, and Krishna will give us the strength to overcome those demands. Um, Before joining this temple and this ashram, few years back, I asked one devotee that when I get unhealthy demands from my mind and senses, what should I do? And he said, bow down to spiritual master and pray for strength. And that's what I did. And I realized that it works because spiritual master is coming from Balaram. Balaram. Bal means strength. Um, we become weak in front of demands of our senses. We become weak. So we need bala, strength to overcome such unsolicited demands, unhealthy demands of the senses. That strength comes from Guru. If you pray, I'm very fallen, please help me, um, help will come. Help will come.
Guruji, I have a question here. Um, um, People who have not considered or have not got any spiritual master, uh, for them, Prabhupada is the spiritual master.
Yeah, is
So,
that your question?
in, yeah, in this case, if someone doesn't have a spiritual master and he has to overcome the demands of the senses, he has to bow down to Prabhupada and ask for strength, right? So, is that,
Yeah, so you are asking if that's the right thing to do?
I'm sorry, Prabhu. Say,
So
the,
you are just double checking, cross checking with me if there's the right thing to do?
yeah, if if this is the thing can be done by people who have not accepted us.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you for adding, Prabhu. Yeah. One can, Srila Prabhupada is Siksha Guru, preeminent Siksha Guru, because all the knowledge is coming by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So there is no difference between Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru. Diksha Guru is one who gives a new name and one who gives initiation, the formal Diksha, and Siksha Guru is one who gives knowledge. And our preeminent Siksha Guru is Srila Prabhupada. Everybody else is repeating the words from Srila Prabhupada. Like all the things that we are discussing is we are simply trying to repeat the words of Srila Prabhupada. So um, um, by praying to him we will get the strength. Thank you, Devashish Prabhu, for pointing that out. Then the next is absence of false ego. Hmm. Okay, rejecting the conception of, this is the last slide we will discuss today. Um, the rejection of conception of I and mine, because they are connected to body. Um, Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. So there is this story of Kanakadas. Kanakadas a, a was not a Brahmana. Um, he was a devotee of Krishna. He had to fight many battles because he was a king, and he did many things for the nation. Many times, every time he would go in trouble, he would depend on Krishna, and inconceivably he would always be helped. So throughout his life, based on his reciprocation with the Lord, his faith on Krishna kept on growing. At a certain age, he wanted to deepen his relationship with Krishna. So he wanted to spend some time um, to find a guru and um, learn more on how to grow one's relationship with Krishna. So he went to Udupi. Udupi is a place of Madhvacharya. Madhvas, Madhvites, they live there. They are very good, very nice devotees of Krishna. So, but because he was not a Brahmana, they would consider him as an outcast. They would not respect him because he was not a Brahmana. So, at one point of time, he stayed in the ashram for few weeks, and then at one point of time, there was a meeting of all the disciples were there. Kanakadas was there, and the spiritual master was there, and it so happened the turn of events that Guru asked Kanakadas, because Kanakadas was very wise man. Because he was such a nice devotee of Krishna, he would get intelligence from within. So devotee asked Kanakadas, this devotee, he is a great kirtanier. When he leads kirtans, the whole village comes, and everybody is in tears when he does kirtan. Do you think he will go back home, back to Godhead? And Kanakadas said, no, Guru Maharaj, he will not go. The Kirtaniya became very angry, and Guru told Kirtaniya, hold on, don't say anything. And then Guru asked Kanakadas, He is a preacher. He has brought hundreds and hundreds of people to the lotus feet of Krishna. Uh, um, he has so much name and fame and respect all over the village. Do you think he will go back home back to Godhead? Kanakadas said, "No, Guru Maharaj, he will not go back home back to Godhead." So he also became very angry. Uh, and then again the Guru said, "Hold on, tolerate, don't say anything." And then one by one, Guru asked for other who were doing great services. And Kanakadas said, "No, Guru Maharaj, they will also not go back, come back to Godhead." So they all were very upset with him. And then Guru asked them to stay quiet and tolerate. And then Guru asked Kanakadas, "Kanakadas, will I go back home back to Godhead?" And Kanakadas said, "No, Guru Maharaj, you will not go back home back to Godhead." And all the disciples already they have so much against him, and now they're offending their Guru. They all kind of jumped up to uh, punish him. But Guru said, "Shh, don't say anything, stay quiet, stay quiet." And then Guru asked Kanakadas, "All right, Kanakadas, will you go back home back to Godhead?" And Kanakadas said, "If I may go, I will go. If I may go, I will go." Means if this feeling of I, aham, ego, if I may go, then I will go. Then I will go back to Godhead. But if I stays there, then not possible. So that I is false ego. False ego. If somebody says something to us, and then if we think, how can you say this to me? मेरे साथ ऐसे कैसे बिहेव कर सकते हो? जानते नहीं हो मैं कौन हूँ? हैं? आप आप कौन है? So when that I comes, um, devotion is spoiled. When that ego comes, so um, everyone is very much attached. They just little bit, if you touch people, they become like snakes with poison fangs in their, ready to, किसी को डसने के लिए वो तुरंत चालू हो जाते हैं. Their senses become flared up. They just want to be on that person's case, little bit. So in Kali Yuga, people have lots and lots of false ego. All other saintly qualities are destroyed by this conception of aham, I. Um, I am the enjoyer, um, and if I can't enjoy what others are enjoying because I am the enjoyer, I'll become depressed. Anything great that we achieve, then I'll become proud. This is all because of I. I am the enjoyer. I want to control. I want to impress. I want to become famous. I want to have more and more wealth. I. Um, all other qualities emanate from this. All other bad qualities emanate from this one greatest bad quality, which is false ego. Janasya mohoyam ahamamiti. Prahlad Maharaj says we are too full of thinking of I and mine. This is I, uh, and this is mine. This is mine. I am the proprietor. So people who are mine, I will control them. Who are under my care, I can control them. So this conception of I and mine, this is connected to the body. This is because of false ego. So how do we come out of this conception of false ego? The sad news is we cannot come out. Krishna has to remove false ego from us. On our own strength, we cannot. We may try, but immediately we will be flared up the moment things don't go our way because of false ego. So at this state, we have to practice humility. Humility. Humility externally, because true humility comes only when false ego goes away from our heart. Till that time, we cannot exhibit true humility, because we will become upset, we will become angry, we will become intolerant. So, what we have to do is externally act humble. All right, that's okay, and we have to train our mind. We have to give instructions to our mind. uh, it's called an internal training. We hear what's the right thing to do, what's not the right thing to do, and then we try to practice that, and we train ourselves. So that is important, because if we don't do that, then we will displease devotees, we will commit Vaishnava aparadh, and and then our spiritual life will become very detrimental. All all problems arise because of this ego. And that's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Trinadapi sunichena taroriva sahishnuna. Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Trinadapi sunichena. Become humbler than a blade of grass. Um, um, just like if you see the grass does not have aham, this I. Now, what do you do with the grass? You kick the grass with your legs, with your feet. You push the grass, and the grass crumbles. And what grass does? Grass post up. And then as you moved on, grass again stands up. And then again somebody comes and step on the head of the grass, and the grass goes down. And then the person goes away, then grass goes up. Then another person comes and step on the head of the grass goes down. So becoming more humbler than a blade of grass. It is not possible. It is the ego which kind of, um, how can you step on me? And we try to poke needle onto their feet. We don't just go down. So, uh, um, so this is needed to progress. To be able to chant properly, we need to exhibit this quality of tolerance, of humility. This is a medicine to false ego. Medicine to false ego. And when Krishna sees that we are not acting on it, we are tolerating it, although we are struggling internally, we are so sincere in being developing the saintly qualities, then at one day, without even our knowledge, Krishna will remove that false ego, just if we are sincere. So, and then amanina. Amanina means not expecting respect for oneself. That is again humility. And then manadena. Manadena means giving respect to others. In a conditioned state, we want everybody to respect us, but we don't want to respect others. We think, I don't need to respect them. Why? Because I am great. So I don't need to respect them. Why? Because I'm better than them. So if they respect me, then I will show respect. But if they don't respect me, that's okay. I don't care about them, because I am great. Just like God is great, I am also great. So this aham is very prominent. Um, and when we respect others, not expecting their respect, which also means that when we think that others are better than me, others are better than me, um, and when we don't think I am better than them, opposite likewise, um, then we can respect them. Then we can respect them. That perception also Krishna has to give. All these things, all these saintly qualities are far away from us. I'm talking about myself, uh, because of this aham, false ego. Greatest obstacle on the path of bhakti. Okay. um, Perceptions of evil, janma mrityu jara vyadi दुखा दोषानुदर्शना. दर्शन मीन्स देखो, आंखें खोलो और देखो, दर्शन करो. किसका दर्शन करना है? व्हाट डू आई सी? जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि. See, this material world is full of disease, old age and death. खोलो आंखों को, देखो. Everybody is getting disease, everybody is getting old, everybody is dying. Try to understand the nature of this material world. There is dukkha. There is dukkha in this material world. Um, I was recently talking to one lady. Unfortunately, she was divorced. Her father was going through third stage cancer, and she was very much distressed. And I said, well, Krishna is showing you the true nature of this world. At one point of time, one becomes singled out and alone. One has nobody in this world to depend upon. um, One loses, and the body also starts losing. So that time the true color of the material world comes out, but we don't see those colors, because everyone is trying to be happy, going to the mall, going to the restaurants, trying to um, trying to think this material world is a happy place. um, so they may think like that, uh, uh, but very soon they will face the reality of this world. Our own attachments will give us suffering, and we are so eager to cultivate newer and newer attachments, um, not learning that my previous attachments have only given me suffering. But because we are so eager to enjoy at the level of ego, at the level of body, we are just trying to repeat materialistic activities, thinking that this time I'll become happy. Arey, you fool, last time same activity gave you so much distress. Yeah, last time, that's alright. This time I'll be happy. Let me repeat the same previous activities. So everyone is covered by this illusory conception, this thought that I can be happy. So Krishna says, try to see this material world is dukkha doshanu darshana. It's dukkha because there is repeated birth and death. There is dukkha. Try to see that. um, they give rise to suffering. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, birth, old age, disease, and death. Regularly hear about these from the proper source and develop pessimistic view of life. Optimistic view of life is this material world is very good. I can be happy in this material world. Then you will never take up spiritual life seriously because you think this is a happy place. But when you realize the true color of this material world, it will be too late. It will be too late. So don't be a fool. Try to understand the nature of this world today. And if Krishna is telling Dukhalyam Ashashvatam, and if we think no, it is Sukhalyam, I can be happy here, then we are telling Krishna, Krishna, you are the creator of this material world, but you know what? You are a fool. You don't understand. I know better than you. You say this is Dukhalyam, my experience is Sukhalyam. So you don't know anything. I am better than you. Then Krishna says, all right. And just wait for some time. Then we come to the our senses that oh, there's so much in this world to live. So try to understand this material world through the scriptures. Try to understand what Krishna is telling. Um, um, Naturally, Krishna will give you experience and we will realize for ourselves, but this will help us perceive the evil of this world. Try to see the evil of this world. Um, so, if you read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, it consists of two things: the temporary, miserable nature of this material world and the sweetness of Krishna, the sweetness of Krishna consciousness. We have to hear about both of these simultaneously. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of stories of kings like Puranjana and others who Yayati, who tried to enjoy material life for thousands of years, but at the end they came to the realization that I was running after all materialistic pleasure. Now I have attained them. I am not happy. I am still empty in my heart. And then they take up to Krishna consciousness. So the choice we have is either we go their route and spend all our life trying to enjoy material happiness and then come to the realization that actually I got everything. I got all the wealth, I got all the fame, I got all the women I was looking for, and then come to the realization even after getting everything, I'm not happy. And those who are running after these things, those who have got those things, they are also not happy. Then who is happy? Who is happy? I'm running behind those things. Those who have already attained it, they're also miserable. Whatever I have, I got it. I'm also miserable. So who is happy? So one should use his intelligence, uh, and look at Srila Prabhupada and look at these great perfected souls and see how blissful they are. Then we see, okay, there is something in the other side which I thought was not useful, but seems like one time, one greatest film star, my spiritual master was actually going to the airport, but there was some curfew, so he just kept walking to the airport. Um, so one big film star, he um, he was crossing him on the highway, and he stopped the car, and he asked him, "Where are you going, sir?" Because he was wearing this saffron robe, so he knew that this person is saintly. So he asked, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to airport. Can I give you a ride?" So Maharaj said, "Okay, this is Krishna's instruction." So he sat down, and then he was telling that, I have I'm one of the richest person. I have enjoyed illicit relationship with all the women's in um, in the film industry. Um, I have the fame which is unmatched, um, uh, but I don't have something that you have. And Mara said, I don't have anything. I have no bank account for past 40 years. I have no money. Um, I don't have anything. I'm just a simple man having two pairs of clothes, and I'm just walking to the airport. What do I have? And he said, from your face, I can see that you are very peaceful. I have everything, but my life is full of anxiety, uh, and I want that. So, even um, people who have attained something that we may be looking for, we can see that we cannot be satisfied by those things. Then freedom from entanglement with children, wife, and home. Okay, let's try to wrap up in 5 minutes now. Freedom from entanglement with children, wife, and home. Ashakti putra dara grahadishu. Putra means children. Asakti is detachment. Putra is children. Dara is wife, and griha is home. Um, so uh, there should be a relationship, but there should be a Krishna centered relationship. When the relationship is centered around the body, then that will cause attachment, uh, and that will cause entanglement. The soul will become entangled. So many stories. Ajamila, he was very attached to his son, and at the time of death he called out his son. That's another thing. His son name happened to be Narayan, so he got all benediction, but he only called out his son because of his attachment. Puranjan was very much attached to his wife. He remembered his wife, became a woman in the next life. Maharaj Bharat became very much attached to deer on a bodily level. He remembered deer at the time of death, and he became a deer in the next life. So, based on our attachment, till the time we have full attachment to Krishna, we cannot remember Krishna. We will remember only those to whom we are attached to. Prahlad Maharaj says that. Um, so all relationships should become Krishna centered. It is said some people can worship Krishna more when they are alone. Some people can worship Krishna in a grahastha ashram. Doesn't matter which ashram we are in. The purpose is let us together serve Krishna. The relationship should be like that of a devotee, just like we respect and we see devotees and we try to discuss Krishna Katha with devotees. Likewise, when the husband and wife both become devotees of the Lord, and they both become sincere, which may take some time, and that's okay to be patient and tolerant till that happens. When they both take up Krishna consciousness, then you have a wonderful association at home, and then they both encourage each other uh, to do devotional service nicely. No, today you are not chanting your rounds properly. Nowadays you're not getting up early in the morning. You have not heard anything. This yatra is going on, should we go? I don't feel like going. No, this is not right. So whoever becomes weak, the other person helps them. That association is very very important. So when that becomes, when the relationship becomes Krishna centered, and when husband wife support each other in advancing in Krishna consciousness, and they both don't become weak to the demand of the body and senses at the same time, but when they both use their intellect based on what they have heard from spiritual master, from Srila Prabhupada books, when they both are determined to make progress, then that grahasthashram is like Vaikuntha. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, when I come home, when I see my wife and children, then it seems like I have come to Vaikuntha. In Vaikuntha also there is husband and wives and children. In Golok Vrindavan also there are such relationships. So uh, there is nothing wrong in the ashram. But when the ashram is manifested at the level of false ego, bodily attachments, then it causes entanglement. By default, the ashram is based on bodily relationship. By default, in fact, it is described that in Kali Yuga, people will see the beauty of a woman through one's hairstyle and many many other things. So it has become very very external, and we have to go back to the Vedic culture of what is the real purpose of the ashram. Uh, okay, then there is even mindedness. Nityam cha samachittavan. Sama means equal, remaining the same, always remaining the same. Even mindedness, not elated or distressed at material gain or loss, basically unaffected. By performing unbreakable devotional service, one enjoys on higher plane. Just like the happiness and distress of the children toys. So the children, when some toy breaks, they are really really distressed, and when they they get something done with their toys, their happiness is no bound. So they become so elated and they become so distressed and depressed, based on their experience with the toys, good or bad. But the parents, they remain unaffected. They are like, ये बच्चों का चलता रहता है, ये बच्चों का इधर उधर ऊट पटांग चलता रहता है. So they are unaffected parents. Why? Because they have higher engagements. Likewise, when Krishna sees us becoming so much happiness and distress based on um, um, our own things which are material, wealth, ego, fame, then it is just like children. Then we are just acting like children. It's just they have their own toys, we have our own toys. Um, but when we develop param drishtva nivartate, when we develop higher taste, um, then then we are unaffected by um, ups and downs. Um, ups and downs. So this practice of devotional service will give us that higher taste, and then we can come to the stage of sama, um, not elated or distressed at material gain or loss. It is not easy. To the extent we are engrossed and meditating on the material gain or loss, we will remain affected by it. But only when we engross ourselves in Krishna, and enjoy at a separate state, then only it is possible to attain this stage of sama. And it's a very advanced platform. But then we have to begin somewhere. Then there is unalloyed devotional service, Ananya Bhakti Avyaya Charini. Ananya Bhakti, it is most important. Without this, other 19 are of no value. In fact, other 19 qualities develop automatically. So, if you render devotional service, you will become free from false ego, you will develop determination, you will become humble, you will become prideless, you will develop sense control, you will become same in happiness and distress. So, these are the benefits of rendering devotional service. You develop all saintly qualities just by serving Krishna. Um, at the same time, it's important to act on humility and tolerance even when we don't have those qualities. We should act on those saintly qualities, so that we can avoid any um, Vaishnava aparad, disrespecting devotees or any such thing, and um, live a saintly life. When you live a saintly life, it is much easier to advance spiritually. But when you make mistakes, then the mind becomes very disturbed, and we will not be able to focus on our devotional service because of the disturbed mind. And then we cannot progress. So although these qualities comes by devotional service in their pure form, they will be bestowed upon us by devotional service itself, but they need to be practiced along with devotional service. But Srila Prabhupada also says if one develops other qualities, first of all, it is impossible without devotional service, because we need to have a higher taste. Otherwise, we will be absorbed in material things. We have to be attached either to matter or to spirit. Um, but even if we act very nicely and externally develop these 19 qualities, but we are not developing the quality of devotion to Krishna, it's temporary and it will go away today or tomorrow. It's not sustainable. So the most important is Ananya Bhaktir Abhavicharini, rendering devotional service. Then aspiring to live in a solitary place. Solitary means in association of devotees, not and not mixing with materialist. Um, um, when we associate with people who are very much attached to um, wealth, woman, and fame, we will develop those desires. So that is called asat. Asat sanga tyaga ehi Vaishnavachar. A Vaishnav rejects this unwanted association. Um, but he likes to associate with devotees, because devotees are trying to become Krishna conscious, trying to become humble, trying to develop seva bhav, service attitude. By their association, we develop all these Krishna conscious qualities. And the last is philosophical search for the absolute truth. And we should read scriptures. We should read beginning with Bhagavad Gita. A saintly person, a quality of a saintly person is he always reads, and he assimilates the spiritual knowledge by personally understanding it. I know one devotee, he said, when I hear it's very nice. I learn something every time I hear something. But when I read, it really goes deep within me. So when you read yourself, because when you are hearing, some things you will catch, but many times the mind will go here and there. We will be inattentive, and we will miss many points while hearing. But when we are reading, then every single thing is going inside. Also, when we are hearing only, then we don't have time to stay there and contemplate ki where was I wrong, am I acting on this, and make it relate to one's life. But when one read, one can go at one speed. In hearing, in this 1.5 hours, everything will be covered. But when we are reading, then we can go at our pace. We can just read like three qualities and meditate and contemplate and see where I am not applying, where am I weak, what should I do, and the effect will be lot more deeper. So hearing and reading should go simultaneously. Then we can actually understand the spiritual subject matter. Okay, um, I would like to end here. Uh, it's already late. Okay. Vanchakalpatarubhesha kripa sindhubhe evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. शिला प्रभुपाद की जय. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Krishna